5-year mission to imagine bright new worlds, to seek out new forms and manifestations, to boldly go where no designer has gone before. Engineering, bring in crew mustard.
Jesse, can you move one seat over? I can't see that.
Stardate 105.2.7. Shuya. April. Was born and raised in Guangzhou, China, and earned her undergraduate degree in design from the School of Design, Hong Kong Polytechnic University, before attending Starfleet Academy. She worked as an interaction designer at Rice 5 on Old Earth, then earned her MFA in design from California College of the Arts in San Francisco. Not bad. April uses her passion for interaction design to explore opportunities in bridging technologies with society and culture, creating affecting and heartwarming works. Heartwarming. Lieutenant Agent Bridge.
Captain. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to take everyone to a trip to a fantasy world and tell you what it takes to become someone else. Have you wondered, when you go to Japan, in one of the most famous spots, you can see people dress up so different over there. And then when you get back, and this is a picture in San Jose Convention Center, and you can see also people dress up so differently over there. This is another picture taken a few weeks ago in Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco. Have you wondered, who are these people? They are identified as cosplayers. What they are doing is cosplay. Oh, cosplay. Cosplay is a term translated from Japanese cosplay. It's an English word coined in Japan in the 1980s, based on the original idea of costume play. Yeah, I know costume play. Porn, right? Porn. Halloween. I mean, improv, Star Wars, Star Trek, or some fair, or I've seen some pictures in MoMA, or I heard artists doing dress up and taking snapshots with people. Yes, they all belong to the costume play family, and cosplay is in it. In the costume play family, cosplay is different from them with textual approaching particular fictional characters. These characters are usually from anime, manga, video games, or rock bands from Japan. The term cosplay began to spread around the world in the 1990s when Japanese animation got a growing audience outside Japan and more Westerner cosplay Japanese fictional characters. That's why even though the act of costume play originated in America, cosplay is considered as a part of Japanese culture. Nowadays, characters for cosplay varies from Japanese fictions to Western fictions, from celebrities to original fan-created fan characters. Cosplay involves lots of crafting and photography. They try to make their costume as much as like those in the original works. They go to conventions, get to know photographers, meet new friends, hang out. They put on photo shootings at a particular site. The essence of cosplay is to be not only dressed up, the essence is to be in the character. Cosplay aim to put themselves in the artist's shoe, be fully immerse themselves in the character, facial expression, behaviors, and to reenact a scene. It seems like a lot of work. Yes, and usually it's done by a small group of people. They do it for free, for themselves, for fandom, for the act of love. So who are these people? Where do they come from? They're fans of any kinds: anime, manga, video games, movies. Most of them are middle class, aged from 14 to late 30s, or younger or older. They are just normal people like you and me.
The first time I saw cosplayers was at a 2006 anime convention. As a fan of anime, I was excited to see those characters come to life, standing in front of me and walking around. I asked them for pictures. I never had the chance to become one of the cosplayers until 2010, with the help from my younger sister, who just got into an anime and manga club in her college. I brought my first gown, corset, and wig according to my favorite character. I sewed two to the dress to make it fancier. I figured out how to style the wig. My debut as a cosplayer at the convention was a success. I imitated my character's temperament and her voice with the soundtrack playing in my mind. I was surrounded by non-stop camera flashes. Maybe this is how it feels to stand on the red carpet during the Oscars. I had so much fun at the convention. Even though I didn't get to drink any water or go to the bathroom in 9 hours. After the convention, the characters stayed in my mind for a few days. I walked, gazed, and behaved like her from time to time in public. Then I started to cosplay various other characters. I got my first breast binding for a male character. I built my cosplay library with a wide variety of characters. I surprised myself with my ability to design and create fictional props, and my capability to act like diverse personalities. My circle of friends has been growing from different professional backgrounds and different geographical origins. I thought I would never have a chance to cosplay when I left Hong Kong for San Francisco to attend CCA. I was wrong. There are many cosplayers here as well, and soon enough, cosplay opened up a larger community for me while away from home.
Through all the 30 conversations with cosplayers from different parts of the world about what cosplay means to them, I've come up with consistent response such as coming together, become a part of a huge community, despite of geographical differences, language boundaries, professional background differences, creatively working with diverse materials, and improving their art sense, and also inspire a sense of self-confidence, getting better communicating with people. Henry Jenkins spoke textual portraits. This is a quote where he wrote about the fandom benefits. And also, this is a print screen of my Facebook friend. He got a job as a tutor for kids for media skills. And the kids are so excited to get to know he dressed up as characters, and the kids also want to become the cosplayers too. Cosplay is a fast-growing community around the world. Every year, there are different scales of anime, manga, game conventions take place in major cities and small cities. There are huge percentage of attendance are in costume. But at the same time, there are some interesting perceptions from the outsiders. Misunderstanding, curious but don't know what exactly cosplayers will do. It's hard to understand the essence of cosplay through images and text, because cosplay is one of the kind that you never understand the fun of it until you experience it. With the need from cosplayers to reenact the scene and the trend to create more engaging interaction in the convention space, and the need to communicate with outsiders, I propose an experience design named 2.5 Space. 2.5 Space is a progressive interactive experience. I call it progressive because the user begins interacting with 2.5 Space, just their upper body, and eventually move on to use their whole body. Take the costume player and the roleplay family as a potential audience, as well as the kids' birthday crowds. Cosplay characters originally come from comics. To cosplay a character is to transform oneself into an anime character, creating a three-dimensional world from a two-dimensional one. Scott McCloud's understanding comics informed my understanding of how emotions, time, actions, and sound is expressed in the 2D world. In the first part of creating my facial expression challenge, aims to make participants put on different facial expressions according to the characters they are in. I intended to provide participants with verbal prompts at the beginning, such as give them emotional vocabularies or the situations. But this is really limited the creativity and imagination of the character. Being inspired by McCloud's book, I created some abstract emotional cartoon backgrounds. I brought them to the convention and invited cosplayers to take the challenge. I asked them to imagine their characters now in the comic, and this is how they feel inside. And most of them found the environment really fun by putting themselves in the same shoes as the character and thinking about possible events according to the character's original story. They started to act out, saying out the scripts. And I'm taking photo of them when I take home. I personalized a small cosplay business card. And move on to the second part. It's called Fantasy Actions. I wanted cosplayers to engage in the game with their whole body. One quality in fantasy world is magic, and usually characters trigger magic or an attack with specific movements. This leads to a set of movements along with some magic animation. In order to test it out quickly, I project the video onto a wall and ask cosplayers to stand in front of it, follow my motion figure. They were really excited about it. They think that the effect works well in immersing them into the fantasy world. And they would also like to speak out the name of the attack in the language they know. So progress to the third experience, composing moving comics. While most of the cosplay ends in static photographs, I decided to push the form of the outcome and allow users to create a video moving image and moving images in comic panel. This new form is a hybrid of a comic book page and a moving image. The previous process, facial expression challenge and fantasy actions, work as one exercise. There are live action movies adapted from comic, but yet they're still in the form of film framing. And also, there are documentary and music video using split screen on a different narrative. Yet, none of them applied the narrative of a comic. I did an experiment with a cosplayer. We had a storyline in mind of what's happening in one panel, took a few takes, and shoot the video from different angles. I added the footage according to the principle of making comics. Here is how it looks. I did another experiment at Cherry Blossom Festival in San Francisco, Japantown, by asking the cosplayer to brainstorm a short tagline of his character and act in front of camera. This is another version of moving comics.
I'm Barney B. Brooks Jr. from Hero TV. Remember, speed, heroes.
In this one, the character doesn't move out of the frame. Through the making process of these two samples, I'm developing a constructive way to compose the moving comics, tested in the next two prototype setup. I set up all the three games together as a whole experience. Instead of inviting cosplayers, I invited two outsiders to come to experience 2.5 Space, a 20-year-old Star Trek fan and an 11-year-old girl. We went through the three experiences in a row. They put on costumes, started with two warm-up exercises. In composing the moving comics, we brainstormed a short storyline within a minute long, rehearsed with the camera, made storyboard, make the video, then I edited it. Let's see what they've got. Here's the next one, which is the bunny. The prototype showed that the progressing process also works for them, and they had fun while got the idea of what cosplay is. And so they may be the next potential cosplayers. Although the moving comic is very interesting to make and watch, it's a challenge and crucial for users who are coming just for fun and because it requires extra sequential arts skills. The filming and the acting part was very fun, but with the technology we have today, it's a difficult job to offer. Therefore, I've been working on interaction design that enable users to compose the moving comics alone and ease the process of editing. Making traditional comic, order of the 5 arenas of clarity varies depends on the different artists, while making moving comics just take these 5 arenas in one specific order. These are some preliminary user interface showed how I envision the process of creating moving comics. Users draw a very draft storyboard quickly, rehearse it. Whenever requires camera changes to tell the idea, a new frame is suggested. If an event or action needs 2 different points of view to tell the idea, or 2 or more things happen at the same time, the storyboard will need to be drawn parallel to each other. And then scan it, which is the software called Moving Comic will automatically detect the boxes in the timeline, and then you can drag and drop the story boxes and make your own decision of the sequence and how important you want it. And you click on the frame wheel in the UI, it will automatically resize and adjust the story boxes to fit with the comic spread. And you can also do a little bit adjustment. And then it tells you, at the end, it shows you a rehearsal view. Then you go and make your video. When you make your video, when you have the footage, and you drag the footage according to the sequence and according to the storyboard, and cut which part you want, adjust the size, and then have more effects and animations. Once we open the door to writing software to compose moving comics, hardware will be involved to better the experience. With iPad's integration of big touchscreen and a high-resolution camera, an app for composing moving comics will make the experience more approachable. Overall, 2.5 Space is a fun experience for the costume play community, bring more interaction to cosplay than just dressing up and taking pictures, as well as a tool to better communicate with outsiders. It can be built in a closed space, like a store in a shopping mall, to give participants an intensive experience. Or it can be set up in different slots in a convention space to drive participants to go different space to explore the whole experience. And this is my journey of trying to bring cosplay a rising and a beneficial activities to more audience as a designer and a cosplayer. Thank you.